Waitress paid for the black twins' lunch thinking they were poor. She was shocked when their father shows up. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon at Marlene's Diner, a cozy little place nestled between a gas station and a hardware store, the kind of spot where the coffee pot never stopped brewing and the regulars always left $1 under their cup. Emily, a 28-year-old waitress with tired eyes and sneakers held together with love and duct tape, was wiping down table 6 when she saw them. 2 black girls around 7 or 8 years old, identical twins. One had a small tear in the sleeve of her jacket. The other wore a backpack nearly bigger than her whole body. Their braids were neat, their expressions shy. They hesitated just inside the entrance, glancing around the diner like they weren't sure they belonged. Emily's heart did what it always did when she saw kids who looked like they needed a little more light. She smiled and waved them over. "Hey, sweethearts, you hungry?" They nodded softly. "You two together?" One girl nodded again. "We're sisters, twins." Emily grinned. That explains the matching smiles. She showed them to a booth and brought out water with lemon slices and a handful of crayons to draw on the placemats. "You girls waiting on someone?" The other one spoke, barely above a whisper. "Our daddy dropped us off. Said he'll come get us after his meeting." Emily tilted her head. "He know you came here to eat?" "He said if we were hungry we could come in, but we don't have money." The way she said it, honest, not embarrassed, hit Emily harder than she expected. "Well," she said, scribbling on her order pad, "lucky for you, this place has a special. Kids eat free when the waitress has a soft spot." They blinked. "For real?" one asked. "For real," Emily smiled. "Now tell me, pancakes or grilled cheese?" 20 minutes later, the twins were giggling, their plates nearly clean. Emily watched them from behind the counter while pouring coffee. Something about them reminded her of herself and her little sister back when life was harder and dinners were rarer. Then the diner bell jingled. Emily looked up. A tall man walked in, broad shoulders, designer coat. His shoes were polished, his watch quiet but unmistakable. Every head turned, but he didn't notice. His eyes went straight to the girls. They jumped up. "Daddy!" He knelt, arms open, catching them both. "You okay? You eat?" They nodded with sticky cheeks and syruped smiles. Then he stood and turned to Emily. "Thank you for looking after my daughters." "You're welcome," Emily said, brushing her apron. "They were sweethearts. I covered their food. They didn't have money, and I thought—" He raised his hand gently. "They have prepaid cards," he said, pulling one from a backpack pocket. "I taught them to handle small transactions. I guess they forgot." The girls exchanged sheepish looks. "I'm sorry," one whispered. Emily waved it off. "No harm done." "Really?" The man stepped forward and extended a card. Sleek, embossed. Julian Cross, Cross Tech Global. Emily blinked. She knew that name. Everyone in town did. One of the youngest tech billionaires in the country. Julian met her eyes. "You fed my daughters without hesitation, without asking what they could offer. That says a lot about you, miss." "Emily, just Emily." He nodded slowly. "Well, Emily," he said, "I think we need to talk." Emily stood behind the counter, stunned, the business card still warm in her hand. Julian Cross. She'd seen that name in tech articles, trending headlines and Forbes lists. She never imagined it would one day step through the glass door of her diner and thank her. He didn't ask for a refund, didn't offer her cash. Instead, he said, "You fed my daughters not because of who I am, but because of who you are." Then he left. No grand gesture, no speech, just one soft promise before he walked out. "You'll hear from me." Emily didn't expect much, maybe a thank you email, maybe a donation to the diner. She folded the business card into her wallet next to her sister's old birthday photo. Days passed. Nothing happened. Weeks passed. Still nothing. Until one night, after a long shift, she got a knock at her apartment door. A courier. "Package for Emily Sanders," he said. Inside was a slim envelope, a handwritten note, and an embossed gold card bearing a seal from the Langford Culinary Academy, one of the top culinary schools in the country. "Emily, you gave without asking. You served without expectation. That's the heart of a real chef and a real human being. Please accept this full scholarship, funded in full, housing and supplies included. If you still dream of cooking, it's time. Julian Cross." She sank to the floor, holding the envelope to her chest, shaking. Her phone buzzed a second later. A text from an unknown number. "We saved your booth. The twins say it's their lucky table." 6 months later, the bell above the door of a chic cafe in downtown Chicago jingled. 2 girls ran in, now taller, their braids tied up in bright ribbons. "Daddy, she's here." Julian walked in after them, smiling. Behind the counter stood Emily, now in a crisp chef's jacket, her name embroidered over her heart. She'd graduated top of her class, opened a small cafe with help from Julian's mentorship team, named it Kind Fork. The twins rushed up to her. "We brought a drawing." They handed her a crayon-covered card, a big pancake, 2 little girls, and a woman with a crown made of whipped cream. Julian stepped up behind them. "They still talk about you," he said, "every week." Emily laughed softly. "They changed my life." He tilted his head. "You changed theirs." Later that night, as the cafe closed, Emily sat by the window, journal in hand, looking out at the city. She didn't have 1 million followers, no viral video, but she had a kitchen, she had purpose, and she had proof that one small act of kindness could feed a future. 2 years had passed since that rainy Thursday when Emily unknowingly served 2 girls who would change her life. Kind Fork Cafe was no longer a secret spot. It had become a symbol. Local magazines featured it. Food blogs praised it. But more importantly, families who had nothing found their way there. Because Emily had made a promise. No child leaves this place hungry, not ever. On a quiet Sunday afternoon, the door chimed again. The twins walked in, taller now, more confident. They held hands, as always, and this time they carried something. Emily greeted them at the counter with her signature smile. "Back for more waffles?" "No," one of them said. "We brought you something." They handed her a thick brown envelope. She opened it slowly and gasped. Inside were dozens of letters. Letters from young girls across the state, thanking Emily for helping them open their first savings account through the Kind Fork Foundation, a non-profit Julian and Emily had built quietly together. Letters from single mothers who'd found part-time work in the cafe's kitchen while learning new skills. Letters from teens inspired to start culinary careers because they saw someone who looked like them at the head of a kitchen. Emily's hands trembled, and at the bottom of the stack was one final letter, written in neat, looping handwriting. "Dear Emily, I used to think kindness didn't matter, that it was too small to change the world. But then you paid for 2 pancakes, and I saw what love looks like when it costs you something. Thank you for feeding us when you didn't have to. Thank you for seeing us when the world didn't. I want to grow up and be like you, Asha and Amira. Her eyes welled with tears. I I don't know what to say, Emily whispered. Julian entered behind the girls, smiling quietly. You don't have to say anything. You already did. That day when you paid the bill, no one asked you to. He looked around the cafe. Families, children, music in the background, hope in the air. This entire place started with one decision. Emily nodded, wiping her eyes. Then she walked to table 6, where it all began. Touched the grain of the wood. Looked out the window at the exact spot where the girls once sat. And she whispered to herself, that table didn't just serve food, it served a future.